Hey, everybody, it's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? Welcome to our show. We meet here every Tuesday at 9. Tonight is Tuesday, August 13. Leo, hit that promo.
It's my love, day's free and my night's long. I create my own reality. Who I am is fine with me. I'm as famous, I'm as famous as I wanna be. Who I am is fine with me. It's who I am. It's who I am.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our show. We're so glad you're here. Uh, I am coming to you live tonight, not from my usual studio in my apartment, but from beautiful Cliffside Park, New Jersey. I'm at Judy's. And behind us, you see this is a, a great RBG picture that she had commissioned a few years ago by a wonderful artist called PJ Andrews. If you ever want to check him out, he does a lot of amazing things. And she had a bunch of great stuff commissioned. So I always love having RBG with us. Man, I'm telling you, the country is on fire. And I am here for it. I'm so excited. I want to remind everybody, please make sure you register to vote. Not just, and you might say, oh, I've been registered for years. Check your registration status. There's nothing wrong with double checking. I know some states have changed a few things, and some states have, there's different places to vote now, whatever. Be on top of it. So all you have to do is go to vote.org. That covers across the country. And then it just gives you all these prompts. What state, blah, 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 whatever. And double check that before voting day. So we have, I can't remember exactly how many days are left, but I want to say 88, maybe 88 days before that. Oh my goodness. Look at who this is. Lauren Musson.
Check your calendar for dates. Oh, I have the wrong page. Darn it.
Oh, thank you, Leo. This is our buddy Leo Rodriguez. He's joined us. Leo is our right-hand man. He takes care of all these little things that I know nothing about. Thank God. Thank God Leo's here. So this is Lauren. And oh, wait, I have another year. This is 2023. So that's Lauren and Robert. They are Mr. and Mrs. August. Now you say to yourself, what on earth is happening here? So we have a calendar called the Nothing But the Apron calendar. And people volunteer. They volunteer to wear nothing but the apron for our calendars. So our 2024 calendar has been out. I always have leftovers, so I have a few around if you still want them. They're $10 because they're fun. It's not just about checking the date. It's about seeing who the hell showed up.
It's about checking that out.
Right. Who the hell showed up with nothing on but the apron? So Robert and Lauren, it was Lauren's birthday a few days ago. It was also Elliot Roth's birthday a few days ago. We love them both. It's Leo season, not Leo
That's
Rodriguez season. It's Leo season as an astrological. But there you are. You were a Mr. August for our first year, Leo, for 2022.
That's right. Let me see if I can.
I love that. Oh, let's check on our people. So Danielle Alexandria Alchemy has checked in. Danielle is our friend. She also happens to be a spiritual medium, a guide. She does past life regression. She does spirit animal readings. She talks to the other side. It's mind-blowing. So if you would like a reading with Danielle, you go to DanielleAlexandriaAlchemy.com. Or you can find her on Instagram at Danielle_Alexandria_alchemy. She's lovely and so very gifted and
fun and funny.
And, she's just a great person. She's a great
person. Girl can sing.
Yep, she covers many bases. Speaking of covering the bases, Lori Towers. Oh, there's Leo. There's Leo, our Mr. Leo. And he is not a Leo. He's a Sagittarius, but he was Mr. August our first year with a little wardrobe malfunction there, Leo. Here it is.
Mm-hmm. Either way, Leos, Sagittarians, or even Aries, like Chauncey Dandridge, we're fire, baby.
That's right. I love it. Okay, let me check in with a few more people, and then let's talk about Chauncey Dandridge and what he's doing before we bring out our incredibly adorable Michael Holland, who's our guest
I
tonight.
love it.
Yes, you heard me. You heard me. Michael Holland, I finally caught him. He is like a little, I couldn't catch him all year. He's so busy. So Lori Towers has joined us. Leo, why don't you tell us about Lori Towers and John Pietero?
Lori Towers. And you mean my Wednesday night dates?
Yes, please tell everybody how they.
My Wednesday night dinner party.
Go ahead.
Wednesdays, 10 p.m. East Coast, 7 p.m. West Coast, till the witching hour on the East Coast. John Pietero, the hunky historian, and Madame Extraordinaire Lori Towers, publicist to the stars.
I love it.
They are on the Beneath the Underground on Sheena's Jungle Room, WFMU.org.
It's so great.
Join
Such
the
a great
party.
listen. It really is a party.
Poetry, blues, rock and roll, like
original
the underground
music.
original music.
It's amazing.
A certain lady that we know, don't tell her. Maria Gentili has been played there too.
Well, once in a while, and Lynn Portis and a lot of our friends.
Lynn Portis, some of our guests that we had a few months, our songwriter in your songwriter series have played on that too as well. Just
it's a
great stuff
listen.
and great poetry as well.
Great listen. I usually listen to it while I'm cooking. The next day, I listen. So thank you, Leo, for doing that. Leo knows many, many things. All right. Also, Alana Diaz, our spicy, fiery singer from the Stonewall Inn. She's there now. And we love you guys. We love you. And also Alana is at the Duplex on Saturdays with Jerry Diefenbach and Tara O'Donnell. So go check them out. Alana is an incredible singer and a really nice girl. Okay, Rena Crugnali-Berge, my cousin from Massachusetts. Hi, Rena. And Leo.
And What's the Story with Maria Weather Girl.
Yes, and Leo always does a shimmy when you come on. Have you noticed that, Rena? He does a shimmy. I don't know what it is about you, but all right. So here's some of our people.
It's for the postman. It's for the postman.
Oh, that's right. Her husband, he was Mr. February on the Nothing But the April, on the first year we had it. Let me just check into I like to have this running on. We have this running on many pages. If you want to watch our show anytime, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's running live there right now as we speak. And then it runs on Facebook. And it runs on the What's the Story with Maria Facebook page. It runs all over the place. Leo's got us connected everywhere.
And guess what else is back?
What?
Maria, you should tell them what else is back. What did we do this week?
Okay. So, yes. And then, we were associated with Armed Radio for many years. And then all our shows were on Spotify under that. If you go to Spotify, they're still there. All our shows, like I think up until about what, Leo, like 350 or something?
April 16th, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like 350 episodes. You can go and listen to all those podcasts, and you can do that on our YouTube channel as well and see all our shows. But then we got disconnected from them, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. They're not doing podcasts anymore, and we still are. So, and also we're on very different tracks. So the good news is that they're doing whatever they're doing, and good for them. And we wish them well. And we're continuing to do our thing. So Leo Rodriguez, amazing sidekick and technical brain, got us all hooked up. And you tell them, Leo, where they can find us now.
We are back on Spreaker, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music.
Oh my God.
Deezer, Podchaser, Podcaster. There's one more that I'm missing, but we're also putting in our stuff for Apple Music as well. So You'll be able to get us on Apple Pod. So
you can hear our broadcast. I mean, our podcast. We used to just be on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and we still are. So the old shows, but as of April, and I think the first show of this series is that Nicole Giuliano. She starts. It's her show. So the great thing is if you miss our show and you're someone like, I love podcasts, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I like to listen to them. So you can listen to us anytime. Okay. Now, thank you, Leo, for doing that. Amazing work, as always. Always, always, always. Leo is a gun for hire, by the way. If you need your website, designed or updated or anything technical like that or promos created, reach out to Leo Rodriguez.
Michael Holland. Are you listening to that, Michael Holland?
Oh, okay. Well, don't out him like that. Sometimes Leo does little silly things like that.
I'm a Sagittarian. What can I tell you?
I know. But anyway, he does do lots of stuff like that. He's done many of our friends' websites and done many promos for many people. So Leo's a good gun for hire if you need that. Now, let's get this done before we bring on Michael Holland.
Yeah, I have it ready.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart. So our friend Chauncey Dandridge asked me last night, can I pop in for 5 minutes because he wanted to promote something, but then he wasn't able to. But we can promote it for him. So anybody that knows Chauncey knows that he's a DJ extraordinaire, and he plays. I mean, he spins all over the country. We're lucky enough to have him at the Stonewall Inn, is one of the places I work. But he is a huge, gigantic Madonna fan as well, and he runs these Madonna worship nights all over the country. And so he is doing a Madonna worship night at $3 bill in Brooklyn, which is the address I wrote down, 260 Merzerat Street, Brooklyn, New York. And I kind of think that's in Bushwick. I'm not sure, but starts at 10 p.m. This Friday, which happens to be Madonna's birthday, August 16th. It also happens to be the 16th annual. So how cool is that? So please, if you are in that neighborhood, or if you're a huge Madonna fan, which I know a lot of people out there are, and you want to dance the Madonna songs all night long, and there'll be a lot of live performances as well, but it's all Madonna themed. So go and check that out.
Everybody get up and do your thing.
That's right, Leo. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. My God, it was more than I was expecting, but thank you.
Well, I mean, Madonna is a soundtrack for a lot of our lives that were coming out and coming up in high school specifically.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's one of the reasons that Chauncey loves Madonna so much, because of exactly what you just said. And I think you guys are around the same age. Ed Kutu has joined us from Blade Salon in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, my high school buddy. Hi, Ed Kutu. If you want to get your hair did and you're in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, go see Eddie at Blade Salon. One of these days, I'm going to surprise you, Eddie, because I drive by there all the time on the way to visit my family in Boston. Okay. All right. So this little whipper, speaking of, I'm pretty sure he's from Massachusetts like I am originally. But anyway, so this little whippersnapper is so smart and so talented and so creative. And
now, this is the first time I'm meeting Michael, Maria. He is a composer. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Director.
He does everything, but he's also a producer. So there's a lot. Like, for instance, Karen Mack, who we had on our show a few weeks ago, her album is one of my favorite albums of all time. I listen to it still. It's called Take That. Michael Holland produced that album and also wrote a bunch of stuff for it. So that's
for our turn, Cookie Mac.
Yep. So you look around and you're going to see a lot of Michael Holland. So without further ado, Leo, may we please pull him in?
Okay.
Ding. There he is.
Boring now after all that.
Yay. Well, there's more. We could have said so much more about you. But anyway, so Michael Holland, everybody, this is Michael. And he is, as I said, do we miss anything, Michael?
No, but I'm not from Massachusetts.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay, thank you.
I went to BU, so I lived in Boston for some years, and I lived in Provincetown for a few years too. So I've been from there, but I'm originally from southeastern Connecticut.
Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. No shame in being from Connecticut.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not, what I tell people around the country when they ask where I'm from is like, when you think of Connecticut, that's not us. Because it was more like we're almost Rhode Island. Rhode Island, and like that's more my jam.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we always had this kind of similar vibe in Rhode Island, and I love that area anyway. All that stuff, Northeast guy. So, okay, Michael. So you've been working on lots and lots of stuff, and I just want to. I mean, I didn't know you even scored a film.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? I'm looking at all your stuff, and I know a lot of the stuff that you do, but you even scored a film called Brenda and Billy. So tell us about that. How did that happen?
Well, my friend Dave Solomon, he had directed. I have a review called "You're Gonna Hate This," which I had put together with Lindsay Mendez in 2012, I think, and we did it at Joe's Pub, and it was like 12 or 15. So I can't remember how many songs it was. It was really hard, and we almost died. So then we did it again. At 54 Below, but we did one of those cast of thousands versions so that we could survive it. And Dave directed both of those. So we've been friends since then. And he called me and he said, I have this movie that I'm finally making, and I would want you to write the music. And so I sat here in my glorious Inwood slum and made it up on the computer. So it's a fun sort of orchestral, kind of scary, kind of funny, because the movie's both. It's a really quirky and awesome film. And it was at the Tribeca Film Festival. About a year ago, and then it's spent the past year sort of going around the world to different festivals. And I don't know if there's going to be another one, but I wouldn't be sad if there was.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, wow, look at there's one more thing that he does that I didn't know about.
Well, I didn't know I did either until I got called and asked to do it. I mean, I
love that. Yeah. I love that, honey. And your work is so amazing. So now the thing is, I want to go back to Karen Max from way, way back, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that album, I told Karen this, and I'll tell you, is one of my favorite albums of all time that I ever listened to. And I still listen to it. It's called Take That, and Michael Holland produced it. And you wrote a few of the songs, right?
Yeah, I wrote a few, and we co-wrote a couple as well, because as we were arranging, we sort of found some. Yeah.
So
back in the day when we were playing together a lot. So we were in pockets for a while there.
I love that. Okay, so honey, now you have. What's there? It is. What's happening there? What's happening there? I can't see because it's such small print. But okay, let's go to this last year. You have been so incredibly busy. And doing some really incredible stuff. So you wrote music and lyrics to, I know the last thing that you did, which just happened, She's Come Undone. So let's start with that.
Okay, so that was, we're still writing that one. And this was our first sort of public showing. So we were in this festival at Theater La Teda in Minneapolis, where I've done a lot of work. I really love those folks, and they've been real supportive of my work, and they're just a really, really smart bunch of folks, and they have their act together. And so we went out they have this thing called the Next Festival every summer, and this was my third one. And so what we do is we go for 2 weeks and we work with actors and we sort of look at the material and see what we have. And then we do a public presentation, just actors at music stands, like a reading. It's not a production or anything. And then we get a lot of feedback, and then we go into our hidey holes for a few days, and we do a lot of surgery and see what happens. And then we do a sometimes completely different show a few days later, which was what happened this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's great. So it's based on the Wally Lamb novel She's Come Undone, which came out 31 years ago. And so, full disclosure, I've been saying that this should be a musical ever since before it came out. And the reason that I knew it before it came out was that Wally is married to my first cousin, and I sang at their wedding when I was 14.
No.
Yeah, and he was my English teacher in high school, and I've known him forever.
That's crazy, Michael.
And so we just sort of were joking about it all these years. And then I think when the 30th anniversary imprint came out, I made a little post and said, hey, remember this should be a musical? And he was like, well, let's do it. And then the next week we had the rights. And so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And think about that, since you were 14, and to like blossom into the kind of person that could bring that to light. Think about how beautiful that is.
I mean, he hasn't seen it yet, so we'll see.
Michael, I know your work. It's spectacular.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's spectacular.
No, we feel really good about it. It's in a good place. It's, we have a lot of work to do, but we're really excited about what we learned and like how much of it does work. And because it's a great big story. And there are a couple of things that, I don't want any keyboards in this. I'm trying to do it with all guitars and strings.
Really?
Yeah, because it just feels like that's kind of what this wants to be. That could change as we go along, but right now that's sort of where we're headed. And so.
Now I know you play the keyboards, but I didn't realize that you actually, that's not true. I know you play the guitar, but you also have other instruments, right? Like within mandolins and other things that you play as well.
If I have to, yeah, I can play. I mean, I have, and I've got my Uncle Pat's accordion up there that I played on one of my records, and it took 4 hours. And because I don't really play the accordion, and my engineer said, that really just cost you a bunch of money. Why didn't you just hire an accordion player? And I said, because I wanted the accordion credit. So
yes, let me tell you, when I was a kid, every Italian family had to have one accordion player.
Right.
And usually it was the kid that really didn't want to do it. Like, oh no. And my cousin Rena's here. She'll laugh because her brother Ronnie was the one who got assigned the accordion. I remember awesome. My Uncle Joe would say, play it, we'd have a family thing. But a lot of, that was more of an instrument that back in the day, one kid per family played that accordion.
Well, I don't know if my Italian family had any accordion players. I don't remember, but the Irish Portuguese, the Hollands, that's where all the accordions and pianos, and banjos and saxophones. They're all musical.
Did you get your musical skills from family?
Yeah, I think so. My grandmother. I was really close to my grandmother, and when I was really small, she would sit me down. And I remember this. I was like 2 years old, and she would sit me down on the rocking chair, which I actually have now, and she would sing me a line of a song and make me sing it back. And then she would get, and then add a line until I learned the whole song. And then she'd grab my arm and go, okay, let's go show your mother. So I always had that sort of, that she was really musical. She was really smart, and all her brothers played. And so, yeah.
And how old were you, Michael, when that was happening? Like
2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So.
That's fantastic. So and when did you start playing the guitar or the piano, or what was your first instrument?
Piano was first. I started that when I was 8, and then piano, I think 12.
Oh wow!
So
cool.
It's been about 800 years, but
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, honey. So now
can I tell you this thing? This is the coolest thing. So it's about my piano teacher. So I had this really great piano teacher. She was really just so supportive, and she would always, encourage me to write stuff, and because she knew it, because I'd do my lessons, but my interests were definitely in creating things, and she really encouraged that. She's passed now, but a few years ago, my grandmother, my other grandmother had died, and we had gone back to my hometown for the funeral. And my mother said, you're not going to believe this, but Miss White is playing the funeral. And Miss White was about 93 years old. Oh, that's her getting out of her car that she drove to the service. So I went up to her and I said, Miss White, I'm not sure if you remember me. She said, of course I remember you. Where are you? What are you doing? And I said, I'm in New York and I do music. And she gave me this huge hug and she said, you just made my life. And it was the coolest thing to be able to do that, because she, built mine. So that was.
Isn't that the best feeling, to go up to someone that inspired you and not just thank them by saying thank you, but showing them what they did for you by letting them know what you're doing now?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the most beautiful gift you can give a teacher or anyone that inspired you.
Yeah.
To say that it's beautiful. I love that story. Yeah, that's great. And so now you wrote the music and the lyrics to She's Come Undone, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how big is the cast?
Well, who knows? I mean, we had, I think, about a dozen. I would like to have 700, but you can't do that anymore. So we're going to actually be talking with the entire team next week, I think. And so we'll find out. I'd like to keep it around a dozen if we can.
And how long is the show?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because the first presentation that we did was 3 hours long. We knew it was too long, but we had to see what we have. You throw everything at the wall. And then our friends over in Minneapolis came up with some really radical ideas about what to cut and what to shift around. And then we tried that and we came out with a pretty much 2 hours and change. It was it's 2 acts. So it actually was more along the lines of what we're going for. So,
and you're right about Minneapolis. Anything in Minnesota, there's so much in the as a way of the arts happening there. I have a few friends that have moved out there that are really loving. They moved out there for that reason specifically.
Yeah.
They're both teachers and they're able to like really, they said that it's such a supportive environment.
It's
How
so
cool is that?
You know, they have all, you'll do these presentations and have talkbacks, and everybody is so invested and they have really smart things to say. They don't always agree with you, but they're really invested in contributing to the process.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in New York, the subtext is always, well, that's not me up there, so I hated it. But there, everyone's working. They can afford to be supportive. I don't know what it is, but it's a really, really nurturing environment.
Isn't that, it's really, and you're right, it's refreshing to sometimes step out of New York and go to other communities that love theater, and you get to realize that it's not just here. We all come from, most of us come from somewhere else.
Right.
And we have this love of theater, and we do it in these, small theaters, bigger theaters, all kinds of venues, right? And then we all come to New York with all this love. But you never forget that. But this is not a small theater where you were. How many seats?
Oh, it's smallish. I mean, compared to, it's I think it's 230. But what's nice about this is, this wasn't like I say, it wasn't a production. It's just a sort of, the public is free to come and check well, I think they have to pay a little fee for the tickets, but it's just sort of open for people who are curious. And it was almost full. I mean, it was like, I think we had 190 something folks just curious to see what's going on. So
right.
There really is an audience there.
Now, let's go to, you also did 12 Angry Men. That I was like, what?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. I mean, this last one got my attention, but I was like, wait, wasn't he just doing 12 Angry Men? And now you're already doing this. So tell us about 12 Angry Men.
Well, 12 Angry Men was a long time coming. I mean, I'll try to give you the shorter than Genesis version. But years ago, I think it was about 2009 when I had a show in the NYMF, the New York Musical Theater Festival. All right.
Yep.
Called Hurricane, and there was a gentleman that worked for NYMF that really, really loved that show, and so he actually had gotten the rights to musicalize 12 Angry Men and approached me and asked me if I'd be interested. And I thought, it's such a counterintuitive idea. That's what I tend to go to. I love the sort of impractical, the unexpected. How do you crack this one? And I felt like I knew what the music was going to want to do. So I was all on board. They couldn't find a book writer. They were searching high and low, but all the book writers were saying, this is a terrible idea. I don't want to do it.
Wow.
And they called me and said, we found this guy who's interested, and we're going to have lunch, and his name is David Simpatico. And I said, I know who he is. He wrote this piece that I saw in workshop years ago. He's perfect. He's got it. So we went to lunch. David and I were finishing each other's sentences, meanwhile, eating our free food like we hadn't been fed in a year. And we really got along, and they thought that we were punking them. They thought we were already friends, and that we just had met. And so we did it, they commissioned us to sort of do a draft of it, which we cranked out. And then they decided to go in a different direction. They didn't, because from what we were trying to do. Happens all the time. Some years later, I ran into that same producer who told me that the whole thing had kind of bottomed out and, it didn't work out. And he said, you need to know the rights are available, which nobody does.
Wow.
But, yeah. So, and then Theater Latida in Minneapolis caught wind of it and they asked about it. So I sent them the stuff. They went and secured the rights. And we were supposed to do the first production, the world premiere in 2020. And we all know what happened that spring. So it got delayed. But that also allowed us to work on it some more. So we opened in the world premiere was in Minneapolis in 2022. And so what we just did now was basically that production. We did a few tweaks and wrote a few little things for it and, made some changes, but it was basically that version, which we just did at Oslo in, I know that song in Florida. That's what we just did this spring.
Wow. And that of course has more than 12. It's a big cast, right?
It's 12.
It's 12, and woo, that's a lot to deal with.
This is the Minneapolis production. This is actually the Minneapolis cast, but we were actually able to keep most of them. They were able to do it in Florida, and then we had some new people come in.
This is incredible. And the casting looks so good.
Oh, they're so great, and they're all such great guys. They're just so fun to hang with. I mean, it's it's a heavy piece. So
yes, it certainly is.
Yeah, we had some really raw, discussions and really dealt with a lot of things because as you can see, the original play and teleplay were 12 Angry White Men. And so while we wanted to keep it in that time frame, and the estate of the playwright Reginald Rose specified that it had to be men, we thought, well, let's examine race and ethnic backgrounds and different social strata and see what we can do with that. So it was a really fertile environment for discussion and. And it really influenced how all the rewrites, and it was a really amazing.
Michael, is there a chance that any of these shows that you would be coming closer to where some of us could see them, or is it going to stay out there for a while?
Well,
because sometimes I know that there's a circuit,
yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. I just I'm dying to see this stuff.
There's so much of it is it's out of my hands. The actors are always saying to me, "When are we going to New York?" I'm like, if you think it was up to me, we'd be there. But who knows? I mean, so many planets have to align. The fact that it's actually had 2 productions is astonishing because that always happens. So I'm looking at it. There's a potential production next year. I don't think I'm allowed to say where yet.
Okay. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say it because it may not happen. And then there are some other, we're exploring other options that generic answer that we all give, but we can't talk about.
But it was well received, right?
Yeah, it was. That was great because you never know. You put your babies out there and it's out of your hands. But
look at even Broadway. Look at the stuff will open and everybody is kind of behind it, and then all of a sudden it's like, it doesn't, so you never know, that's why. But I just think with these things are so amazing to see when they first get started, wherever they start. I think you see the most beautiful work done in these places and so much heart and soul. So it says, Michael, okay, this is the Minneapolis Star Tribune. Michael Holland's jazzy vocally score feels like it's about to step up to a bar and order a Tom Collins, often driven by a walking bass line, often chorusless. Yeah, the tunes are syncopated and don't resolve in a tidy way that most musical theater songs conclude. Appropriately, they create a tension not released until the jury decides the unseen defendant's fate. Holy shit. I love that review.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
Whoa.
That was a nice one.
That is really cool.
When we started, we actually had, I think, 20 songs, and they had a beginning and an end, and it was, this isn't really what it is. And the director, Peter, I have to mention Peter Rothstein, who used to run Theater La Ciudad. He is now the artistic director at Oslo in Florida. He directed this, and he came up with this idea basically that, there's a tradition in musical theater where the emotions get so high that you have to sing.
Yeah.
That wasn't working for us here because the emotions keep ramping up and changing. So in our play, they ramp up and they have to sing, and then they ramp up more and you go into speech, and then they ramp up more and they go into song. So there's not a clear delineation between when they're speaking and when they're singing. And it becomes this almost sort of hybrid operatic musical theater drama. And it just sizzles. It just really cooks.
I love that. But that makes total sense.
But we didn't come up with it. Peter did. So
yeah, but that's great. Well, that's what Peter's there for, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of shows.
Yeah.
Can
I say that's so Sondheim? That's so Sondheimish to put it together like that. Like, oh wow.
Yeah, and you had to sort of write. Like, I always overwrite anyway, and then you start chopping things out, and that's when you get to the marrow of it. But yeah, it's a.
Do you know what? I didn't think I mean, I can see where you get that, Leo. But I was thinking more like opera. Like a lot of opera is there's so much tension in it.
Yeah.
And like as it's going, I would love to see both of these shows. Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
Hopefully you will.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's take a second. Lynn Portish, genius, has joined us. She says, bravo, Michael, very cool. Lynn is going out to Scotland tomorrow. She's going to Edinburgh because, a show that she wrote music for, and Susie Campanero wrote the lyrics. I'm sorry, wrote the book, and Lynn wrote the lyrics and the music. Is playing out there, so she's going out there tomorrow to see it. So that's exciting. Linny, safe travels.
That's awesome.
I know, and you know what? I love all these audiences like from all over the world that to go and see this stuff, and that's the beauty of theater. I'm sure like any of the festivals that any of your stuff's been in, like you meet the most amazing people that like love theater. They're not just there because it's something to do on a Saturday night,
right?
Or they're tourists and they're like, okay, I guess we should see a show while we're in town. It's people that really love theater and support it on all levels, you know?
Yeah.
And so you worked with David Simpatico, and that's wonderful. And now you guys are buddies, right?
Yeah, we're pals, and he's actually, we're working on She's Come Undone together, and we brought in his friend, his longtime friend Dara Cloud. So there were 2 book writers on She's Come Undone, but
that's great.
We're up to our usual antics. So,
and you're still producing, right, Michael? So you're always producing new things, and you're always working on.
When it comes up, I mean, I hadn't produced a record since I was a co-producer on the Godspell Broadway.
May I just stop you there? Stop. I love that album. I almost forgot about it. I didn't even write it down, but in my brain, like in the last few years, when I hear your name, it goes right there. Right there. And so many people that I talk to have such amazing memories of that production. So bravo on Godspell. The last time it was on Broadway.
Yeah,
you can thank Michael Holland for all that musical beauty, and I love that. And I do that Hunter Parish arrangement of Beautiful City. I sing it. I just love it, and I always think of you when I sing it.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a sweet girl.
Yeah, what a wonderful
talent. They were so great. And this weekend I was visiting friends in northwestern Connecticut. One of my best friends, I went to college with him, and I was staying with him and his wife over the weekend, and we went to go see at the Sharon Playhouse. We went to go see the last performance of The Prom that was playing there,
which I've never seen, sadly, but I hear it's wonderful.
It's adorable, yeah, and yeah, it's a blast. And so, so I'm sitting there, and at intermission, this guy in front of me turns around and just gives me this look, and he's got a mask on, so it takes me a second. And it's Danny Goldstein, who directed Godspell on Broadway. So,
wow,
living in Western Massachusetts now, there was no reason that we should run into each other. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know who else had just popped on, and I think you folks know each other. MP.
MP.
Right? Didn't you guys work together in the studio quite a bit?
We have worked together quite a bit. Yeah.
And yep. Oh my God. Where did you get that?
I got a signed copy from the artist. That's where I got it.
Wow. MP was the engineer.
I know. That's
on my album. Yeah. And she is amazing.
Amazing. She was
amazing.
She was, I think, an assistant engineer on Karen's record. That's how is that how I met her?
Yeah, I think so.
But we've known each other forever. So yeah, and she just engineered this last project that came out last year, which was Farrah Alvin's album, which I produced. And yeah, we had a blast making
If you were working on an album or anything like that, you want MP, and her last name is spelled
K-U-O.
K-U-O. And
MK Recording.
There's nobody better. I'm not just saying that. Am I right, Michael?
Best in town. Best in the world.
Best in town.
My favorite. And we have this thing when we work together because we're Virgos and we're insane, but we also have a sort of shorthand where we don't really speak words, and we just like and people watch us twin speak thing, but we get it done so fast because we're just in, we're.
I love it. I love it. And when you do the arrangement, I mean, when you do you do all the arrangements, right? So anything that's going to be recorded, you write all that. And
yeah.
Now, I'm always fascinated because I am not a person like I'm definitely a songwriter and all that stuff, but I am not a someone that I can hear things kind of sort of, but I am always blown away by arrangers. Usually Lynn will arrange for me or different people that I've worked with, right?
Right.
But now if somebody gives you a piece of music or something that you've written, do you hear these things in your head, or do you have to sit down and say, let me sing? Or do you record things on tracks and then go in and play over them? How do you arrange? What's your
sort of all of the above? I mean, the recording technology has gotten so hands-on. So I mean, I actually did engineer a few of the tracks on this. I recorded all the piano and keyboards and stuff here on my programs, and then we, shopped it in. I mean, flew it in. But generally, it just depends on the project. But some things I'll write down in advance, or I'll just work it out on the piano and write by hand, because I grew up with pen and parchment
right.
These newfangled gadgets, and then but sometimes, and also like with Farrah's brilliant. So
yeah, we need to talk about that too. Thank you.
We'll get together and I'll talk about what I want to do, and she'll have input and we go back and forth, or she might have some ideas too that I will incorporate. But we had also done a couple of live shows together, so we were building the arrangements off of that. But what happened was I used to be one of those people. When I made my first couple of records, I'd go in the studio and bring in session guys, and I'd have, I could write out a chord chart by hand because I didn't know how to do it on the computer yet. And I didn't know how to write out parts, and I would just say, I don't know, can you make it more orange or more? And some musicians would be like, I totally get that. And some would look at me like I had three heads.
Right.
I need to be able to communicate to people who actually spent the money and went to music school. So I made myself learn a little more about how to communicate, because you don't want to tell people that put the work in. So, I have to tell you, it's a Godspell thing, but when I got the gig to do the arrangements for Godspell, I went up to Charlie Alterman, who was the music director, on the first day. And I said, Charlie, I need to tell you, I can do this, but I've never done this. So tell me what you need from me.
Wow.
And he went, okay. Blah, 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 blah. And he went on, there's all this formatting and all this different stuff that I'd never done. And I thought, I'm going to lose this job. I'm going to, so there were a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of all-nighters that I pulled to try to get it together. So at the end, once we're open, the lead copyist had called, I guess. Charlie called me and he said, Russ called and he wants to take us to dinner. He goes, I don't know what it's about, but it's dinner and we love dinner, so we're going. So we went and had dinner with Russ, and it was really nice. And at the end of it, Russ said, I just wanted to thank you guys, because this was the easiest job we've ever had. Most of the time on a Broadway show, we go to the guitar players and say, what is it that you're playing here? And they sort of like show them, because it's not really in the score, but everybody pointed at the music. Charlie goes, yeah, I may have told you a bunch of things that I needed that I didn't really need, but I thought you should learn how to do them. And he totally tricked me into doing it.
Wow.
I wouldn't do it now. So he saved my life, but he had to do it through trickery and deception. So
I love it. You know what? Sometimes that's the way that's a good teacher.
Yeah.
Without meaning, maybe you weren't looking for a teacher at that moment, but those are the people that appear, right? Yeah. When it's time. I love that. And to me, music is complete magic. Like real music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about when you're really in the middle of creating something or being part of a project. That to me, music is, and the vibration and the stuff that comes together is total magic. It's not of this earth.
I agree. And I used to think that if I learned more about the mechanics of it, I would lose that. But that's not true. It still feels, there's still that thing that no matter how much you know or how much you plan or how much education or experience or whatever, there's still that moment of, I don't know, and that's where it happens.
Right.
That never goes away.
Right. Did you ever go to sleep thinking, I can't do this, and then wake up and just have an idea?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also, I got to a point where I do clock in. Like if it's, I don't have that thing anymore where, oh my God, I'm on the street and I have an idea and I have to write it, or I don't remember. If I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock.
Oh, good for you.
When I'm on the clock, you've got it, because somebody once, I don't want to name drop, but somebody once told me, if you get writer's block, that guy over there doesn't. and he'll get the job. And you have to think about it
Wow.
like that when you're doing it to survive. So
That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like people like you, people that I admire creatively, you don't really ever get that. It's like you might be in a place where your brain is doing other things, but it's always listening. You're always listening.
Yeah.
You're always experiencing what's around you. You're
Yeah.
watching other shows. You're having life experiences. You're talking to a relative, and your emotions are part of that. And I feel like real musicians, true musicians, are always are always taking in
Yeah.
stimuli,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
so you may not use it today, but you're going to use it at some
But
point.
it's in the bank somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a second. So let's just check with it. How you doing, Leo? You good?
Good. Danielle said, "I agree," and I love that. I love that correlation between what she does and what Michael does,
Yeah.
because it is very spiritual,
It's
and all the music
channeling.
that you produce.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
channeling.
that. I
Our-
love that correlation.
I love that. That's true, Leo. Our friend Danielle she's a psychic.
Yeah.
And she's a medium. She's incredible, by the way. I don't throw words out there loosely at all. And she's incredible, and she's like a channeler. So she gets what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, Sandra Carr has
Truth.
joined us. I know. Sandy Carr is a great friend of mine, and she was my neighbor, next door neighbor, for many, many, many years. Justine Mary has joined us, and we were in Tony and Tina's together. Rick Sudi-Caritas has joined us. Love the Kamala poster. He said, that's all Leo. Anything like that is Leo Rodriguez, our amazing guy. He does all that stuff. And I mean, can I just say how happy I am? Right, Michael? Leo?
First time we've been able to breathe in how long?
You know what's funny that you did that?
Breathe.
When you did that, I knew exactly what you meant. It's as if someone has had a dagger in our chest for 8 friggin' years.
Yep.
Excuse my bluntness.
Yeah.
And finally, it's like, oh my God, wait a minute. I remember this. It's called joy. It's called patriotism. It's called real feeling. It's the absence of fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I was watching the Olympics and I was crying with real patriotism. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's what we used to feel when we were kids.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Yeah. Anyway, we got to take a minute for our food section of our show. Now, usually I cook, okay? And everybody knows this, right? I'm a cook. I love to cook, blah, blah, blah. You know, Michael. Michael's had many quarts of my sauce.
Yes, I have.
I know. And you always made me feel so special.
Oh, so good.
So thank you. But tonight I'm at Judy's. When I'm at Judy's, usually I don't cook because there's other things going on in the kitchen and I don't cook in her kitchen. But I did stop by Whole Foods, which is on the way here. And I just put this together, this little dish. So it's cold sesame noodles and a beautiful chicken cutlet. What Italian doesn't love a chicken cutlet? So I put the chicken cutlet on there, but I have this delicious sauce that I love. It's called truff, and there are many different versions of truff. I'm a huge fan of this company. This particular one is the original one. It's they use truffles and truffle oil and also hot sauce. So I put a little truff hot sauce on there. But if you ever come across this product, you can order it online or they have it at Whole Foods or other places. My favorite one is the jalapeno lime. That's the Latin version. Oh my God. But it's a great company and they always use truffle. So that is my dish that I am having after this. I always reward myself with food because I'm not going to have a drink because you don't want to see me drunk. It's not pretty. But it's not, and it's very scary. And it hasn't happened in a long time. What do I have for dessert? Thank you, Leo. I also got this at Whole Foods. They have a little cookie section. So this is like a raspberry macaroon. This is a pistachio cookie. I love pistachios. And then this is like a dulce de leche with guava. So this is kind of like a little Latin cookie. How beautiful is that? I know. Judy loves guava like crazy. She's a big
guava and manchego cheese.
Did you? Okay, so you're Mexican. Judy is Cuban, and Cubans love guava. Do Mexicans love it too?
They do love it too. I'm not a fan of it, but they do love it as well.
Is it
but I
something you
have
grow
had
up
it with
with?
mango cheese. I did not grow up with it.
Okay, because I know a
I
lot
grew
of.
up more with saladitos and like
that?
dried prune stuff. But
Okay.
everything's dipped in chili.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So,
Pan dulce,
Michael,
things like that.
what? Let's go because I love food and stuff. So, as a kid, let's go to as a kid.
Okay.
As a kid, what was like something that you jonesed for? That was like an after school or something maybe you couldn't have that you loved. Was like, when I get a chance, I'm gonna have this.
Gee, I don't know. I was not a picky eater as a kid, so I liked almost everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah, my sister would eat. She would only eat spaghetti, and then she would have Cool Whip with chocolate pieces in it until she was about like 19. She would never, but I would eat anything put in front of me. And
That's great.
If I saw my grandpa eating lima beans, I wanted to try them. They're like, you're not going to like them, and of course I did because I had to prove them wrong. So
right.
I do remember. I think I told you this during the pandemic when you were bringing the sauce around, that it took me back because my grandpa's sister, my Aunt Rose, used to make the sauce from scratch in Westerly, Rhode Island, and we would go there every few weeks. He would take me, and that was always a big special thing because we get it all there. So
I love it.
My grandmother was a great cook. So I didn't have any like the only thing we didn't do when I couldn't wait when I went to college. The first thing I wanted to do was go out and try, Indian food and Thai food because we didn't have any of that where I grew up. So
right.
So exploring different cuisines happened later, but I was not wanting for good food when I was a kid.
Yeah, I love that. And every kid's different. Like I always love to ask those questions because every kid has a different experience. Like sushi. I remember like when I came to New York, I was like, I didn't even know what sushi was.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But as soon as I tried, I was like, oh my God, this stuff is good. Yeah. So, and now what is something that you absolutely like? Do you reward yourself with like a good meal once in a while, or what is it?
So one of the things that I do, I work here all the time and I get so stir crazy that I have to just get out. So I usually work like crazy all morning and into the afternoon, and then I'll walk. Today, I walked down across the George Washington Bridge and down to Edgewater to there's a Greek place called the Greek Taverna that I like. And then I walked to Port Imperial and took the boat across and then walked back home. So I did.
Oh my God, Michael, that's really a walk.
Yeah. And, but I have to do that. And I listen to somebody else's music and clear my head. My big reward that I try not to do too much is also in Edgewater. And it's Jack's Lobster Shack.
You don't understand. It's one of my favorite places. We got Jack's. We have to go. Let's go together. Oh my God. Except I'm not walking. I'll pick you up in my car. I'm not feeling it. I love to walk, but not that far. But I love Jack's Lobster Shack. Last week we had, I was on the keto 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And I had a salad with a big lobster on pieces on it. And it was from Jack's Lobster Shack.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
What?
Maine or Connecticut roll?
I like the Connecticut. Woohoo! Which is with melted butter, delicious melted butter.
Maine is mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise, which is also delicious. But the best lobster roll I found that was like, if you're going to get a Maine lobster roll, I love Provincetown. They make them.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you can't go wrong in Provincetown. Leo, have you ever been to Provincetown?
I've not.
You won't want to leave. You won't want to leave.
You want to go?
That's probably why I've not gone yet.
Right? Yeah. You want to go in the fall because the weekends are still crazy like the summer and jam-packed and you can't walk down the street, but then the week is quieter and you get to actually experience
so beautiful.
I have to hit Cherry Grove now that there's a song.
The Cherry Grove. Yeah.
Yep, the old Cherry Grove. Lynn Portis Road. Have a very cherry day.
Oh, nice. I was just there last week. I'm going to go again Thursday, I think.
Yeah, Cherry Grove is cool. It's not I don't gravitate towards it only because I work in all the clubs and I feel like it's just the same crew except on the beach.
Well, but it's more so the Pines feels more clubby to me.
Yeah,
and the Grove is a little more relaxed and more spread out, and it's I can sort of.
You're right. You're right.
When you get on the. They used to have the train schedule used to let you get off in Sayville, and I'd had enough time to walk through town and go to the boat. But now I have to get on the van, which I call the COVID Express because it's just in fact. and you're listening to the gossip of all the people you just spent 3 hours trying to get away from. But then you get away and you go.
Yes, you're right. Maybe that's what it is. But I appreciate it. I think it's beautiful. And you're right. Cherry Grove is very different.
Yeah.
And I love everybody that goes up there. Nothing against it.
Yeah.
Sometimes on my days off, I just have to literally like put my head in a like this. Like I don't want to talk to anybody.
Right.
Only because I work in all the, you work in all the clubs.
Yeah, it's constant.
Oh, okay. So we have 4 minutes left, maybe 3.5 minutes left to our show. What did we not cover? We did not. I want you to go back to Farah's. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leo.
No, go ahead.
Farah.
I'm ready.
Let's talk about Farah for a second.
Farah Alvin is one of them Broadway star types. Mm-hmm. And we'd worked together a couple times on some of those Cast of Thousands 54 Below shows, and we hit it off. And she approached me about music directing a show called On Vinyl, which would be all 70s tunes.
I love it.
Incredible singer. She's got this crazy range. She's hilarious. She's nothing but trouble. And and so we did a show at the Green Room 42. And there it is. And
I love that room, by the way. I love the sound is so good.
Yeah, they're so nice there. And so we did that right before the pandemic hit. And then we did another version. I don't know what the second one was called. B-Sides was the second one.
Okay.
And then it came time while, we were sitting around to think about what from those shows we wanted to put onto an album, how we would actually make that happen. And there's a number on there that wasn't in the shows. And so it's a great big production. We have horns, we have vocals for days, we have lots and lots of fun, full instruments, and it sounds like it's the sound of the 70s, but it doesn't feel like an antique when you play it.
I love that.
Because of the MP Quo, who made it sound like it was recorded in the 21st century as opposed to on
How much do we love MP?
So
oh my God. MP needs to be on the show. MP, I keep telling her, okay, I'm going to reach out. MP, I got the next 2 months are a little booked, but let's shoot for October. Let's do that, MP. Me and you, let's talk.
Do it.
I love MP. And you know what else? Maybe we can do this too, Michael. Maybe I can just cook for me, you, and MP someday. You guys come over to the apartment and we'll just chill out like 3 friends and not have to do anything. Leo, if you're in town, look at Leo's making a face. Leo, if you're in town and you can come over. Poor Leo, he's in California now. But he did live right around the corner. I know. But listen, they need to
Kamala right next to me.
I know you do. Okay, so Michael, I want you to leave us with something inspiring because most of the people that watch or listen to the show are also creative people, all different kinds.
Give us a clue.
Some are chef. Oh, Clue. We didn't talk about Clue. Oh my God. Go ahead, Michael. Talk about Clue.
Clue. It's
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah, it's based on the
Clue, the game, right?
Yeah, the game and the movie loosely, but it's hilarious. It's parked in LA right now for the month, but it's been touring all over.
The ads have been great.
Yeah, and I did the music for it. It's not a musical, it's a play, but it's got tons of music and it's got dance numbers and all these transitions, and it's really fun. The cast is incredible. Casey Huston directed it, and it's Sandy Rustin wrote the adaptation. There's additional material by Hunter Foster and Eric Price, and brilliant minds all. And it's this ridiculous piece that couldn't have been made by anybody but brilliant people. So it's a blast, and it's over like that. It's so fast and
unbelievable,
hilarious. Yeah,
unbelievable. Hilarious. I mean, what does he do in his spare time? Walk on water? Come on,
New Jersey.
I
love it. I love it. We're going to Jack's Lobster Shack. You know,
right? Yeah, you're on.
Oh my God, I love that place, and I'm always trying to look for somebody to go with me.
Your reply was just so great. Like you don't understand. You don't.
No, because I mean it's true. A couple of weeks ago, remember I had that beautiful lobster plate.
It was amazing.
And it was Karen Mack was on the show, and she was like, "You gotta love the keto." I was like, "I know, because I can do that without the bread, but I like it better with the bread." We're doing it. We're doing it.
All right, we're on.
What is your Greek go-to? What did you get when you go to the tavern? What is your?
I like the beefsteak.
I love Greek food. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
They've
love
changed
it.
the menu because they remodeled the place, and so they used to have a nice lamb
Kebab thing.
souvlaki, but now they
Oh,
changed it
yeah.
to the beef one. So and that's good too, but I like the lamb one better. I feel sad about
I
the
love souvlaki.
So yeah, but it's a good place, and yeah.
Yeah, we're going, Michael. That's it, because I'm always in New Jersey. I'm always there. My girlfriend lives in Cliffside Park, so
Okay.
it's right behind Edgewater.
yeah.
It's on the hill. It's on
Yeah.
the hill. All right, we have many things to do. So, Michael, leave our creative listeners with a few words of inspiration. How you feel about creativity and why we don't give up.
Okay, how about this? I mean, back when I met you, I was doing more sort of singer-songwriter thing, right? And from there to here, the dream sort of morphed. And it's not like I gave one up for the other, but the dream morphs if you pay attention and if you learn to say yes. So there's a thing about, back in the day, somebody asked me to music direct something, and I thought, well, my focus is on singing and songwriting, and that's not my thing. And I think it was more out of fear of failing at it, whatever. But when I finally learned, when that phone rang, to just say yes and go for it, all kinds of stuff blossomed and opened up. So I think that's what it is. I think that we have to tell ourselves that we deserve to say yes.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. I think that's a perfect place to end the show. We want to thank Michael Holland for taking the time to be with us. I've been trying to catch him forever.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you could do it. And Leo, always thank you, honey. I don't know what I'd do without Leo Rodriguez. And please come back every Tuesday from 9 to 10. If you miss our show, it's okay. You can catch it in rerun, and now you can catch it in podcast again. So thank you to Michael Holland. Please go and follow him and everything he does, because it's incredible. And we'll see you again soon, and we love and appreciate you. Thank you.